Welcome to Mindflow Radio.
We are creating conscious community by sharing mindful manifesting skills and transcendental music.
We are all in this together.
What's your course? See beauty, graceful feet on the ground. Listen close, nature sound, nature sound, nature sound, nature sound. Light so bright, challenges do test my purpose and willingness. Stay on the path, dust your knees and keep on walking. Thank you, please. River walk, feel the water washing by. Heal my heart. Time goes by, time goes by. Shining stars, twinkling new moon night. Future dreams, be the light, be the light, be the light, be the light. Light so bright, challenges do test my purpose and willingness. Stay on the path, dust your knees and keep on walking. Thank you, please. Animal or an angel pure and bright, blended so wise through sight, wise through sight. Open wide, be the truth that you know. Forgive, love, learn and grow, learn and grow, learn and grow, learn and grow. Light so bright, challenges do test my purpose and willingness. Stay on the path, dust your knees and keep on walking. Thank you, please.
Mindflow Radio.
Mindflow Radio.
She's Jay,
And he's Monte.
and here we are.
Here we are.
The eternal present moment.
I gotta take a deep breath for that one. That's a real deal, yo.
It is real. That's the difficult part to understand.
Or is it?
Or probably is real, and we just can't comprehend infinity. And eternity
Yeah,
is part
totally.
of infinity, and etc.
Yeah. I've definitely been contemplating the whole idea of being a human and how none of us really know what happens afterwards. There's many, many theories.
Yeah.
But the fact is that we will not remain human, and most likely our soul goes on.
I mean, if we have a soul, which I believe we do.
It seems like it.
But yeah, it just kind of gets down to the reality that we really don't know anything for sure.
Right.
And
we do know that we feel pain. and joy.
Okay, all right.
And these are the things that I've been thinking about.
That's interesting.
Like, we feel that being a human is super real because we feel the pain, we feel the suffering, the grief, the sadness, the joy, the bliss, the ecstasy. There's these things that we generally, all humans have felt a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like more than not, we all feel pain and suffering.
Oh my God, you sound like Buddha.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But it seems like the human experience.
Well, I love that idea that that's all we really know.
Right.
You know? And it goes back to that saying that I used to play around with, is all we really have is how we feel. Mm-hmm. And you're saying all we really know is how we feel. Mm-hmm. Because intellectually, we can't hardly know anything for sure.
Right. Yeah, it's super. But
we pretend we know. We pretend we know everything.
Well, it's not that we pretend to know. We pretend that you don't know and I do.
Well, and there's that. Yes. Yeah, that's true.
We pretend that we know who knows what.
Yeah,
but I don't think
experts
any
know.
of us know.
No, well, we can't really know anything except bliss. And
I think bliss
pain.
Bliss is not a universal feeling that I think everyone's had.
Well, you said ecstasy.
Yeah.
That's like bliss.
But I think that it's universal that we've all felt pain. And we've all felt suffering. Yeah. But has everyone felt bliss?
No, they haven't. They haven't. Because some people have been born with some terrible, disease or something, and just like boom, and they're
suffering.
Yeah. And then they're on to the next realm, whatever that is.
Sure.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. So
you're coming up with a new philosophy about pain there.
I guess so. I don't know. I've just been thinking about how none of us escape being human without dying. I mean.
Yeah, the body
dies. And then there's many differing opinions on what happens afterwards. And that's where we can't really know. We can hope, we can pray, we can do our darndest.
Well, we can pretend we know too, which is like common in our culture.
I think that that's okay too. One thing that Shihing Yi says, who's the Shaolin master he's the master teacher of the Shaolin temple in Germany. He says that imagination is one of our greatest keys, our greatest strengths.
Well, sure, but when we're imagining something that's false, I don't think that's a positive thing.
And then convincing ourselves that...
Well, right. And then, of course, I know because all my friends know the same thing. And then that's proof that I'm right and I know what's going on.
And, we always got to check ourselves, I think.
Leads into like...
That kind of goes into the truth continuum theory.
Oh, big time. And the truth continuum is a scale between 0 and 10 that you can put any belief on that scale. Like a belief I'll put on the scale right now is that we're talking and creating a podcast. And on the truth continuum, that's a 9.999 because, I may be dreaming. Or this may be a simulation or something. It's not 100% positive that that's what's going on right now. And if we start looking at things that way, we begin to realize that we really don't know much. Because everything's on the truth continuum, especially when you get into more nuanced things such as like politics or, money or
what comes after
judging other people.
Yeah. That's
a big one, right? We sit in our place of arrogance and judge others. And then that gives us the right to that's where the self-righteous anger comes in and the hatred. Mm-hmm. And then that leads to, the destruction of humankind, right? Unless we put it in check.
Yeah.
Unless we evolve past that kind of ridiculous arrogance that we tend to hold on to.
Yeah, this brings up another contemplation I've been really working on, which is working with the grievances, which is a Buddhist practice. And quickly, the grievances are fivefold. One is craving the positive, so wanting positive things to remain even when they're past, or positive things distracting our ability to focus. And the second one is ill will and anger and frustration and basically putting ourselves above others. And the third one, and I'm not saying this in order of any special order, the third one is restlessness or anxiety and fear and the ruminating mind. The fourth one is laziness or depression, slothiness, feeling really heavy and not being able to do anything.
Yeah.
And the last one is doubt. And I've found that doubt is my main problem. And the doubt leads to the other grievances being troubling. So I've been thinking, I meditate every morning for 30 to 45 minutes. And I follow Dr. Joe Dispenza protocol, which is revealing or getting your subconscious to come into the metacognition phase. And so you go through what you no longer want to feel, think, do, or believe. And so you have to really think about those things. And I've been thinking about how I don't want to doubt. And I realized that doubt leads to arrogance, which is such an odd coupling. You think that arrogance would not go with doubt, but because of doubt, there's this defense that comes up within me that says, well, I'm most likely right and you're most likely wrong.
Yeah.
And even though I doubt my worth and I doubt that anything good will happen and I doubt and I doubt and I doubt and I doubt, but oh, by the way, I'm better than that person. So it ends up being this very interesting thing. So I was focusing on this for a few mornings, and I realized that the opposite of doubt and arrogance would be confidence and humility.
Yeah. Yep.
And how that coupling is powerful.
Yeah.
In the sense of reducing suffering and pain and reducing confusion and so on and so forth. So yeah, that is what came up for me from what you said.
Awesome. Confidence and humility. Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of talking about with the truth continuum. It's like we have to learn to be humble. Because if we're not humble, then our minds are not in alignment with reality. If we go around, I know exactly what happens after we die. And I mean, that's like an example of so many people. Well, how do you know that? Well, all my friends believe the same thing, so it must be true, kind of thing. That's like ridiculous kind of logic that humanity clings to as a method of proving their superiority over other people. Just like it's all kind of ridiculous and childlike.
It can start wars.
Well, it does start wars. And that's what we want to get out of. Before we just walk down this path a bit too far. And, there is a cliff on the edge of the path. Yeah. And it's up to us to like stop and turn around at this point.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with admitting we're going the wrong direction and fixing that. Readjusting, and that's kind of how it works as individuals. When we get off our path, we have to realize we're off the path. Oh, look, I'm stuck in a bramble bush. I better get back to the path.
Right, but that takes humility. You see, that's where arrogance blinds people because they're like, I'm not going to change my mind. Right. I'm right. I'm not going to. And then culturally speaking, we see somebody who doesn't change their mind is a positive thing. Or somebody who does change their mind, we call them a flip-flopper. Oh. Wishy-washy.
Well, we don't, but our culture does.
Yeah, well, the media does. And it's kind of a common philosophy that if you change your mind, you're weak. But in reality, I love this quote from Emerson, "A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds." I love that. That's from Emerson's Self-Reliance, and it's true.
So what's hobgoblin?
Hobgoblin's like something that a hobgoblin is like a spirit that just controls you.
Like the shadow.
Yeah, the shadow. Ooh, we could talk about that. But yeah, it's true, and people cling to their ideas. Of course, I believe this war is good. I've always believed this war is good, and I'm not going to change my mind. That's like a foolish consistency.
No doubt.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
However that goes. But that's why we need humility. That's why arrogance is such a big problem. And arrogance probably stems from insecurity, which is what you're saying.
The doubt. Yeah, totally.
Because then we fool ourselves. We can fool ourselves that we're not insecure, and we can fool ourselves that we know everything that's important. And but can we really? On some level we can, but deep down in our subconscious, there's that voice that says, you don't know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
And that's maybe that's where some of the doubt comes from.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Because when you're arrogant,
seriously, yeah.
Yeah, that creates more doubt.
Yeah.
Like you were saying.
Yeah.
It's a message from the subconscious.
Well, I feel like for myself, doubt is the first step in. And the arrogance is the second step.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure, because the doubt goes back to when I was a kid, and I know I wasn't arrogant back then.
Right. But I'm just saying in general. In general, I mean, arrogance feeds doubt, and doubt feeds arrogance. It's like this cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do want to say that we've made it to December. Welcome. And one of the pieces of December is the shortest day of the year. And I was thinking about a subject that we wanted to bring in is lighten up. And I was thinking about how it's really dark, and yet we see the stars at night. When it's really, really dark, that's when the stars are the brightest. And can we, in this time of introspection and quiet of winter and the dark time of the year, can we let the stars shine? Can we let the clouds lift in our minds and be able to see the light? Can we lighten up? Can we release the deep, dark, stormy clouds that are kind of separating us from this cosmic light that's all around us in the darkness?
Yeah. So how do we do that?
Well, we'll do that in our lightning round.
It's true, though, lightening up the consciousness. I mean, and according to Hermetics, if we want to feel better and be more powerful, we need to align our minds align our mind vibration with the universal mind vibration. And that's lightening up a lot. If we're too heavy, arrogance is heavy, doubt is heavy, anger is heavy, judgment's heavy.
Yeah.
All that.
Faith is light.
Yeah.
Trust is light.
Humility is light.
Yeah.
It can be.
Well, yeah, because humility is the feeling of, I don't know, and that's okay.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, that's lightening up, because...
Yeah, it's true. And, seeing everyone as an equal, that's another way to get to that lighter state of consciousness. Like we're all spiritual beings having a temporary human experience, all of us. And
a piece of letting ourselves lighten up is seeing the wisdom that we've gained, right?
Yeah.
Rather than all of the bad stuff.
Well, acknowledging the mistakes we've made too.
Yeah.
Because that's how you gain wisdom, is you actually acknowledge mistakes and you try to not make them again. And then at that point, you take a quantum leap in your consciousness, I believe.
Yeah. So I feel like the idea of lightening up and turning the past into wisdom also pairs really well with facing the shadow.
Oh, yeah, because you're shining light on the shadow.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about the shadow then. So what is the shadow and why is it important? Let's take a look at that. I mean, the shadow is something that Carl Jung, it was part of his philosophy, is that each of us individually have the shadow side to us. And those are like the more destructive parts of our personality. Unproductive or not necessarily unproductive, but destructive personality aspects. And we have these individual aspects, and there's also the collective shadow, this collective darkness to humanity, which essentially is what causes war and, humans being super uncool to each other, right? And individually, that's kind of the same vibe. It's sort of, but the way we heal the shadow, which is really a beautiful thing, is, okay, let's say we have these unproductive personality aspects that we have buried in our consciousness. Like we don't pay much attention to them because they don't fit our overall philosophy. So we tend to just ignore them.
Repress.
Yeah, or ignore them, just not be aware of them. And if that's the case, if we're not aware of our shadow, then our shadow waits. These personality aspects wait till we're like really stressed out, and then they emerge. And then they take control. And once the shadow takes control of us, then that's a real problem, because we tend to create a bunch of terrible karma for ourselves, and and
it's very unconscious.
Yeah, and the shadow can control people for their entire lives as well. But the way to fix the shadow, the way to use the shadow to your advantage, which is like a beautiful thing, is to integrate the shadow into your consciousness. Like you shine the light of awareness, you shine your spotlight of attention onto your shadow, and then it's no longer a shadow, right? And then those aspects of your personality integrate with the rest of your personality, and then you're more powerful. For example, okay, like one example is rage. Let's say rage is like part of my shadow, and rage can be important occasionally, right? I mean, throughout history, like the saber-toothed tiger is attacking, my ancestors, and they respond in this rageful aspect of their personalities emerge, and they kill the tiger. Right. But so that's really important for our survival. But if we don't acknowledge this rage as part of us, then it tends to just emerge on its own when we're at our weakest and control us. So it dominates our personality.
Comes out in inappropriate ways.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, well, it comes out in ways that tend to be more destructive.
So I want to bring in Richard Schwartz, who created the internal family systems. And what he says about rage is that the rage comes from an exiled part within, which is part of the shadow, to protect the person, because something is happening to them, whether it be a PTSD reaction or some real need to protect themselves, whether it be appropriate or not, whether it be stimulated from trauma from the past, so it's not actually in the present, or whether it's an actual present threat. And he says that this is a part of depression, actually, that this rage is that depression itself, there's two parts that are a part of of depression, and one part is the slothy part that basically drains you of being able to function in society or even in your household. And the reason why is to protect you from the exiled part who might come out inappropriately. And so the protector part is keeping the exiled part from coming out. And the exiled part can come out in a very acute, rageful, painful way that doesn't appear as depression, but is actually, like you were saying, it's like the depression becomes the tiger, the saber-toothed tiger, and this exiled part has to come out to kill the tiger because this is really ruining the person's life.
Yeah. And the problem with the shadow like taking control is when it takes control, it's not integrated with the rest of the personality.
Right.
Like, because we also have these, part of our personalities is a feeling of like compassion, in part. But when the shadow just takes control 100%, it's just inappropriately using these highly energetic forces to cause chaos in our lives, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But if we notice, if we shine our light, which you were saying, lighten up, let's shine our light of attention onto our shadow, and then we just use it appropriately, and then we're that much more powerful. Somebody breaks into the house, I go into a rage, and that perhaps is an effective use of my shadow.
The part that I don't understand is the integration part. How does shining light integrate?
Because it brings something that's in the shadow into the light. You understand it. You make peace with it. You determine that that's an important part of your personality, but it doesn't. And in doing so, it doesn't like just jump in and take control. I mean,
okay, so integration
in inappropriate times.
So integration, you're saying, is basically bringing it to the conscious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Acknowledging it, seeing the benefits of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because part of my shadow and everybody's shadow is probably like fear as well. And if I acknowledge that, it's not as controlling, because then I'm looking at it from a scientific perspective. When it occurs, it's like, oh, that's part of my shadow. Let's look at that. And is it appropriate right now?
I think that's what ties the grievances in too, is that the grievances are these aspects of the shadow that as you become conscious of them, then you can go, oh, there's that grievance. And
yeah.
So I guess I can see how that's integrating. I'm very curious. I'm in the midst of it. So I'm in the midst of trying to understand these unconscious parts of myself and trying to bring it into the conscious. And we're definitely working on it together, trying to help me figure it out.
Well, I'm working on it myself too.
Yep.
I'm just saying, I'm really noticing my shadow side, and I have this like strong, like for me, my shadow can be just resentful, irritated, fearful, angry, all that. And, those are common feelings that can at moments help me out. But if they're not held in check a lot of the time, if they're not in moderation, if they're not moderately used, if they dominate my personality, you see, if they dominate my mind, then there's a big problem, and I'm on the path to, something not good.
So the piece that gets me is, so where is the difference between repression and using appropriately?
Well, repressing would be when an appropriate moment comes up, you don't use it.
Oh, okay.
You push it down. You're like, nope, but so there's a skill to it. Carl Jung talks about that. This is not, it might sound sort of simple, but it's not as simple as it seems. But
it sounds super complicated to me.
Well, I mean, one way of looking at it is we just have a variety of personality aspects, and we just want to integrate all of them, and then they can all work together in harmony. It's like a great orchestra, and the powerful drum beat only occurs once in a while, instead of the drum beat just like hammering all the time.
Sure.
So we are creatures of habit, and if we're in the habit of letting our shadows run us, it's not easy to turn that ship around, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah, that's where I feel that repression is just, it's in the unconscious, and we don't know, and we're not able to separate the shadow from our own higher self. And so it's repressed in the sense of it's all blended together, and we're not able to sort it out.
Well, and it's repressed in the sense that we think of it very negatively. If we can love our shadow side, you see, if I can love my rage, for example.
I think people do love their rage.
Oh, I know. Well, some people love their rage, and then it's a problem because they overuse it, and they feel like it makes them more powerful. And there's definitely like chemical benefits to being rageful, for the moment. But then we cause all this destruction in our lives if the rage is inappropriate. So just that's where the skill comes in.
I think rage is mostly inappropriate.
Well, mostly, yeah. It can be a effective and useful, very occasionally.
Yeah, that's where I feel that there's got to be a piece of it where bringing it to light actually appeases it. Well,
you send it love. You're like, I appreciate this part of myself. I appreciate this rage within myself, and it's integrated into my consciousness. So if I ever need it, it will emerge. That's kind of skillful manipulation, essentially, of the shadow side. And just the step one is shining the light on it and acknowledging it. Acknowledging it, looking at it from a scientific perspective, and knowing that if you can integrate it, you'll be that much more powerful and that much more effective. And it can be a beautiful thing. Being a human is not simple. Our minds are essentially just so complicated.
Yes.
But simple. Both, really. I mean, presence is simple.
Yeah, presence is simple, but it's difficult.
Yeah, right, in this world.
But back to where we are in the season and the dark time of the year.
Yeah.
I feel that it's really important to honor this time and also honor the need and desire, the deep desire for introspection and quiet and resting and relaxing and taking that time to restore ourselves for the coming springtime. And this is literally the darkest month of the year. And how do we honor that? How do we, that's, people have celebrated solstice and Christmas during December, and Hanukkah, right? Hanukkah is a light, with the candles, a light celebration. So I think cultures around the world, throughout history have honored this time of quiet and bringing the light into the dark. And so that's what we're attempting to do here.
Yes.
Is to share with you what we're working on, trying to bring the light into the dark and shed light on the shadow, and how we're honoring this time of introspection. So I guess to give you an example, or maybe encourage you to contemplate as well, and seize the moment of darkness and let the stars shine. So what we have for you next is a meditation song that we composed and created. And I encourage you to do optimal breathing throughout the whole thing. And this is my personal challenge to you. It is a 10-minute meditation, and I challenge you in the most friendly, playful way to breathe deeply for the whole 10 minutes.
Yeah. And one way to easily achieve the optimal breathing is as you're breathing in, just feel your ribs expand underneath your armpits. And then lengthen the exhale. So it's a longer exhale. In general, your breathing is going to be slowing down and your heart rate's going to slow down. And it's something I keep coming back to as much as possible throughout the day. But that's a great idea to do that during this song, this meditational song, or meditative song. And just keep the breathing as fluid and graceful as possible, essentially.
Yeah, take this time to be in this time of the season, the dark time of the season, and let your breath be the light. So enjoy. And after the meditation, we will have a little lightning round of skills to lighten up. Enjoy. Breathe deeply. Expand your breath fully. Deep breath. Feel the breath nourish your body.
breath fully. Deep breath. Feel the breath nourish your body.
Are you feeling lighter now? So now that you have joined us on the meditation realm, let's have a lightning round of skills. How does one lighten up?
All right, I'll start. Media fasting. Don't listen. Take a break. Take a break from the news. Take a break from social media. Take a break and be moderate, and let that be the pattern, a pattern of moderation. Which means if you are excessive, you need to like go on a fast. If you could be moderate every day, just figure out what that means to you, because that's something that absolutely makes our minds and consciousnesses heavier. News.
Definitely.
Dun, dun, dun.
Especially these days. Or maybe it's always been.
I think it's sort of always been that way. It's worse now.
Yeah, it seems like it, but maybe that's because I'm the age I am. But my favorite and most challenging skill for lightening up is conscious breathing, which I am not that good at. And all I can say is I keep trying. I keep attempting. Monte has to remind me a lot because I go back into old patterns of very tense, anxious breathing. It's just, it's how it has been for decades. And to change a quadruple decade, or I don't know if I said that right, habit is very difficult.
Yeah, it's been happening for 40 years. It's pretty ingrained in your neural synapses.
Yeah.
But you're just, learning a new way.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort. And you know what? I think it takes friends, or you can put alarms on your phone, or I'm not really sure all the ways that you can give yourself these opportunities to remember to breathe. But I have found through my own practice that just breathing for 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes at night does not cut it.
No, you got to use it during the day.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And if you practice when you're feeling good during the day, then when a crisis does happen or a challenge happens, which it will, by the way, it's part of the human condition, you're going to be challenged. When a challenge does occur, if you're well rehearsed with optimal breathing, which is slowing the breath, deepening the breath, slowing the exhale, it'll be right there for you, and you'll use it to help you get through the crisis.
Yeah.
And you'll get through the crisis and you'll be more balanced and more clear-minded and ultimately more effective. So just like using it throughout the day as much as possible. That's what I do. I keep touching base on it. I'll be like, okay, do the optimal breathing, and I'll slow my breathing down for, a couple breaths, and I'll forget about it. Then I'll come back to it. I was like, oh, I forgot. Okay, keep going. If I can keep up that pattern just throughout the day, at the end of the day, I've gone back to it like 50 times. And maybe the longest period of time I stuck with it was 4 minutes or 3 minutes. And
it's very worth the effort.
Worthwhile. Yeah, it is. Because then, like I said, when a crisis happens, it's right there for you. And that's what the mistake a lot of people make. They try and save this kind of stuff for a crisis. But to get good at it, you have to train when you're feeling normal or feeling good.
And my experience was that training for a specific time in the morning and at night is just not enough.
No, yeah, you got to just work it into your day because it doesn't take any time. When I'm going to a meeting at work, I'm doing the optimal breathing because I know it helps my mind to be more clear and it helps my mind to be more relaxed and essentially more articulate and on point and have better focus and just in general have better energy.
Better reactions,
light
responses.
Yeah, in a light state of consciousness where I'm not taking things so seriously.
Totally.
So and if I get triggered, I'm able to come back to center more quickly.
Yeah.
Through this type of breath.
And the breathing in the morning and the evening on purpose is a part of training the brain to remember to breathe and to get out of old breathing habits. And it is super important to try to dot the breathing throughout the day. And we used to call it mindfulness on the fly.
Yeah.
And I used to think that practicing in the morning and evening was more important. But now that I'm really wrestling my shadow, I'm like, oh, I don't breathe when I walk, and I don't breathe when I play music, and I don't breathe, It's so interesting to have been practicing for 2 decades now and realizing that the mindfulness on the fly really is a huge key to getting healthy in the mind and the body.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the benefits of the optimal breathing is when you're actually filling your lungs up effectively, your lungs will squeeze your spine a little bit and you'll have better posture because they'll like straighten you out. And then the head naturally comes up then as well. And that helps your state of consciousness too. And they've done studies on, how better posture translates into more confidence.
Agreed.
So you can get there through the breathing. So you work on the breathing, the posture, all together, and it's potent and it's very psychologically empowering, which is a key point. In that psychological empowerment is one of the variables that you need for psychological health. If you're feeling psychologically disempowered, for example, if your shadow is running you, then at that point, you're not feeling psychologically empowered because you're being just controlled by this shadow
feel imprisoned by your
right. And you can, but as you learn to work with the breath, learn to work with identifying the shadow, so that's mind work, learn to work with the posture, then you have these tools to use to stay in control of your consciousness and therefore remain psychologically empowered. And when we feel psychologically disempowered, that's when we have more depression, anxiety. And that's the cycle a lot of us get caught in. We feel psychologically disempowered because our minds are running rampant and we don't understand that we can orchestrate the mind at all. So we feel disempowered and then we feel terrible and our minds are agitated and our minds are ruminating. And then what do? We don't feel good. And so we tend to blame others for that. You see, that's the typical pattern that humanity gets caught up in. And it's like, I feel terrible. It's their fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. And it's like, no. Maybe let's look at our own shadow here. There's that saying, we are our worst enemy. This is true. Whenever I say that phrase, people are like, oh yeah. Everybody kind of resonates with that. Yeah. So we all kind of know it on some level. But how do we deal with it? And that's what we're talking about, just shining the light of consciousness, shining your spotlight of awareness onto your own shadow. And we can just get control of our spotlight of awareness through working on the breath. Because when we're working on the breath, we're taking our spotlight of awareness, and instead of shining it inwards towards some rumination, right, we're shining it into our lungs. We're shining it into how effectively we're breathing. So we're controlling the spotlight of attention at that point. So we are empowered at that point in time. And that's the way we want to live, is from an empowered perspective. Then we feel better and we accomplish more.
Yeah. So I want to get one more tip in there. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning, and just remembering our mortality. That kind of brings a little light up into the situation, you know? we need to just accept that we're mortal, and there is something after this, most likely, and
probably.
there's no reason to argue about what it is, because we'll find out someday.
And nobody really knows for sure.
So let's just lighten up and do our best to have, I guess, a part of accepting our mortality is also having faith that we're here for a reason. I mean, there's got to be a purpose to all of this. We don't need to know what it is.
Right.
And we can just do our best to be the best people we can be, and learn how to breathe, and learn how to be optimal humans.
And learn how to integrate our shadows into our consciousness, and then we just feel better. And we feel more empowered, and we're more effective.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, that's it. 100 years goes by like a flash of lightning. Mm-hmm. So that's how long this body is going to last. You know, I mean, if I'm super live a long time, you know, but let's say I live to 100 years, it's still a flash of lightning. Mm-hmm. That's it. And I'm a spirit. Perhaps I'm a spiritual being having a temporary human experience. If that's the case, my soul's going to be going somewhere. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I look forward to it. You know, I'm not, this is a very temporary gig. Right. You know, and just for all of us. For all of us.
And that's one thing we all have in common. And
it's true. And we all have pain, like you were saying earlier.
So we got to take things a little less seriously. And
be kinder to ourselves and kinder to each other.
Yeah.
Compassion for all is possible.
Absolutely.
And, you know, accepting people for who they are, that's possible too. Mm-hmm.
So I just want to say thank you. We're out of time. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this community of seekers trying to figure it out. And many blessings to you as you go through this dark time of the year.
That's it.
And we'll see you next month.
That's it. We're all spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. Let's make the most of it. Let's have fun with it.
All right, y'all. Bye-bye.